The Ritz Carlton in Portland sold back to the lender to strengthen the struggling property. Nothing says this is going to strengthen this property than a lender taking back a loan that's gone absolutely into foreclosure and taking back a property secured by $500 million in debt that it's now worth. What's it worth? Is it worth 40 million? Is it worth 50 million? A fraction of the debt on the books. But let's get into it anyway. Let's see what this strengthening process looks like. And I've got another little storyline to go along with that. It's entertaining. It's Portland. Here we go.
It was supposed to be the crown jewel of downtown Portland, the Ritz Carlton, but financial woes and the brink of foreclosure was sold back to its lender. And tonight, we're going beyond the headline.
New York-based Ready Capital announcing it bought the Block 216 tower yesterday, which has the hotel, residential units, office, and retail space. Joel Jones shows us what this really says about the state of business downtown.
The new owner says this shift in hands is meant to strengthen the property, but the announcement comes shortly after financial records show the luxury apartment was facing potential foreclosure due to underperformance in its barely leased office space.
Oh, I love the words underperforming. They weren't paying their mortgage. They weren't paying their mortgage because they didn't have enough tenants in there to be able to pay the mortgage. Because Portland is so decimated right now. But hey, it's underperforming, meaning it's performing, but just under.
A new lease on life for the Block 216 tower. Since opening in 2023, the skyscraper anchored by the Ritz Carlton has struggled to stay afloat. Prior to the purchase, Ready Capital publicly considered buying the property to recoup its more than $500 million construction loan instead of waiting for repayment from then-owner Walter Bowen.
We have a crisis downtown.
In June, our Ken Body asked Portland real estate developer Jordan Schnitzer what the financial woes surrounding the property and other downtown businesses says about the state of downtown. On Eye Northwest Politics, the business mogul likening the city's more than 30% office vacancy rate to a struggle with substances.
And what they tell me is until they hit bottom and said they weren't ready to face their issues and recover, that's why I think we need to look at Portland. It's that bad. There's not been one new business tenant coming to Portland, downtown, in 2 years.
The latest Portland Metro Chamber State of the Economy report found job growth in the region fell below pre-pandemic levels as the city's real estate appeal dropped to a 2-decade low.
Wow.
Why would a tenant want to come to downtown Portland, which is the jewel of the community and the jewel of the state, if they're going to be paying these higher taxes?
A filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission says the company may sell off the office, hotel, and condo spaces in the next few years, but Ready Capital says the hotel will continue to operate as usual. Their CEO stating in part, Ready Capital understands the importance of such a project to Portland's downtown. Our ownership bolsters the prospects for the future office leasing and sales of Ritz Carlton residences by strengthening the project's resources. And
that is all a bunch of corporate CEO mumbo jumbo. The current owners weren't paying the mortgage. They're forced to take the property back. To cover their position, they're forced to take the property back. This isn't about the community. This isn't about understanding the community. If they had somebody else to unload this effing hot potato onto, they would do that in a heartbeat. What we've got now are verbal shenanigans. We've got just gyrations of the truth going on because nobody wants, except that one dude, he's like, yeah, things are really bad. Things are really bad. And they are. You've got street level issues. You've got vacancy issues. You've got no businesses coming in. And on top of that, you've got a complete lack of housing development going on in Portland. And one of my other stories I'll read after I finish this one is that the governor and the mayor of Portland are going to go out and talk to real estate developers, see what they can rustle up for business, because they need to be on top of those developers because nobody's building housing at all. At all. It's reached levels lower than 2011. And that's the last time. And that was during the Great Recession. when all the builders were going bankrupt. So, you've got these situations going on, and everybody involved is like, well, we're posturing ourselves to do this. We're going to improve the property. Really? What about this improves that property?
Ready Capital says they will be partnering with the Lincoln Property Company to manage this building while Marriott International continues to
Who cares?
hotel and residences. A spokesperson for the hotel says they are excited and looking forward to working with the new owner. Reporting in downtown Portland tonight, I'm Joelle Jones, Quint 6 News.
Because it's brutal for a hotel that has restaurant and all that other good stuff. It's brutal for them to be dealing with a landlord that is clearly going down. And by that, I mean literally going down the tubes. So, Ritz Carlton in downtown Portland was sold back to the lender in an effort to strengthen the struggling property. New management announced Tuesday. That's a spin at best, right? That is a verbal shenanigan right there. Hey, we're going to strengthen it. It's going to make it better. Really? How? Okay. All right. You know what's crazy about this property? It was only opened a couple of years ago. I think 2022 or 2023. Is that what they said? 2023? Yeah. Ready Capital secured its ownership of the tower on Southwest Washington Street following its merger with Mosaic Real Estate Investors in 2022. Ready Capital understands the importance of such a project, Portland's downtown. You don't have a choice. You now own it. And that was your only real option because nobody else is going to step in and pay for it, the amount of equity you've already got in it. And you're going to be forced to just wait to see if the real estate market comes back. Because if you sell now, you're going to lose out on how much? $400 million? Something like that? Who knows, right? What's it worth? Is it worth $100 million? I don't know. Probably not. Because so much of it is you got the hotel, and then you've got the other office space. And office space in Portland has the highest vacancy rate in the United States, in the U.S. Yeah, our ownership bolsters the prospects for future office leasing and sales of Ritz Carlton residences by strengthening the project's financial and operational resources. Yeah, they've got these condo units within the Ritz. Those aren't selling because who wants to buy a multi-million-dollar condo in a project located plunk center in a pretty difficult part of Portland? Who wants to buy that? Oh, yeah, that's a tough sell. Hey, give me $2 million today and I'll give you a Ritz Carlton condo on Tuesday. The announcement comes shortly after financial records showed the luxury building was potentially facing foreclosure. You mean because the owner at the time hadn't made payments in forever? You mean that? You mean that kind of detail? Because that's blinding glimpse of the obvious, right? Due to its underperformance and barely leased office space, can't generate enough income to cover the payment. Ready Capital previously said it had been considering recouping its $503 million construction loan by taking possession of the property instead of waiting for repayment from its current owner, Walter Bowen. Now, Walter Bowen being a major investor in Portland. But let's go back to recouping its $503 million construction loan. So you provided the construction financing. You got a property that was worth what? It had to have been $750 million or $1 billion back in the day in order to get that kind of loan, right? And then all of a sudden it is worth pennies. So when you're talking about recouping $503 million, that ain't happening for a very, 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 very long time, given Portland's current state. You're not going to have somebody sweep into Portland and make it safe again. You're just not going to have that because the constituents of Portland want to keep it weird, meaning it's always going to be very progressive. It's going to be liberal. It's going to be Democrat. And all of those components mean that the state of the union of your businesses in the downtown core are going to be difficult at best, right? Because you don't really take care of business. You don't arrest people as needed. You don't get the whacked out nut jobs off of the street. You got a bunch of people just absolutely addicted to whatever drugs, and you just allow them to prance around and, do their thing, just be high all day and run around and do crazy stuff in downtown. And then you wonder why you can't, attract any new tenants to the commercial space. I don't get it. I don't understand. Now, I'm kind of happy with this situation because I get podcasts out of this for days, weeks, months, years. Closing a chapter like this is never easy, but I'm immensely proud of what we've built and the lasting mark we've made in Portland's skyline. It's too bad it's not worth a damn thing. Yeah, I said that. It's too bad it's not worth a damn thing. Yeah, I mean, I see that you got 503 and a marker million on this project, but what's it worth now? A fraction. 90%. What it was? 90%. The city's future is full of promise. Okay. Yeah, I keep hearing that. I keep hearing Portland is full of promise. And you know what that's like? It's like looking at a real crappy home that's just been ridden hard and put away wet and destroyed and graffitied and needs a new roof, needs new siding. It's got that problematic Weyerhaeuser Louisiana Pacific siding that's crumbling from the inside out. It's got foundation problems. It's got a wonky ass foundation. It's just like different areas. It's got a crumbling chimney. And instead of saying that it's a real crap wall, hey, the upside to this diamond in the rough is tremendous. Okay. Well, yeah, but let's check out the market and see why the last guy who owned it didn't do that well, because the conditions are no different, are they? No different. So, commitment to the community we love will endure for years to come. Filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission said the company may sell off the office and hotel spaces in the next 2 years and the condos in the next 3 years. To who? To who? Nobody wants to buy them. To who? Sound like an effing owl, don't I? However, Ready Capital says the hotel will continue to operate as usual. Okay, so they're going to run the hotel, they're going to try and squeeze some money back out, get their liquidity back out a little bit. Man, I don't see that happening. The Ritz Carlton's Block 216 tower includes 251 hotel, 132 residential units, of which I think on my last podcast, 11 or 12 of them have been sold. 11 or 12 out of 132. That number probably needs an update, but it was some horrific number like that. 159,000 square feet of office space and 11,000 square feet of retail space. And a partridge in a pear tree. And so somehow they're trying to convince us that by taking it back, it's going to strengthen the property. The property doesn't change, just ownership does. So you got capital, you're going to dump a bunch of capital into a brand new building? No, you're waiting for market conditions to come back around. Block 216 represents the most impressive mixed-use experience in the city and is ideally located in the West End with immediate access to the city's best amenities. On a spec project, I would go, all right, okay, so if you say so. All right, I get it. That sounds promising. But you are literally looking at a property that was going through the foreclosure process that the underlying lender, took back, 100% took back in the form of some kind of sale. We don't know what the details are. We are pleased to partner with Ready Capital to manage and help stabilize this terrific asset. Is it really? Is it really a terrific asset? Asking for a friend. Because what's so terrific about it that the last guy said, there we go, we're just going to give it back to whomever. Now was dropping the keys in somebody's hands. That was cash or keys for cash, right? Which we believe will contribute meaningfully to the resurgence of Portland, a city we are deeply involved in. All right, so you are correlating resurgence of Portland with the foreclosure of the building that the Ritz Carlton is in. Okay, does that make any sense to you? It doesn't. This is just, it's nonsense. It's nonsense. Portland is struggling. Portland has a massive vacancy factor. Portland has buildings being sold for literally pennies on the dollar. 90% off just of what they were worth a few years ago. And now interest rates are higher and, these developers, they can't come in and refinance this debt because interest rates rocketed upwards and the values dropped so significantly that they don't have the ability to refinance. Because you go to another lender and they're going to want their little equity and you're going to have loan to value ratio and just a bunch of other stuff that, and you're borrowing $500 million, you're going to have to get those things all lined up. This property ain't one of them. It is not one of them. Enough of ragging on the Ritz Carlton, but the Ritz Carlton just had terrible timing. That's what it came down to. Any other economy, this building would probably be doing okay. It's not in the worst area of Portland. It's not in the greatest either. It's in the downtown core. That area has been hollowed out. So are people paying for luxury hotel in downtown Portland? The answer is no. The cost per night is minimal for a Ritz Carlton. I want to say it was a couple $100 the last time I looked. That is a bargain for the Ritz. In fact, I go down there and stay. I'm staying at the Ritz. I've stayed at one, maybe two Ritzes in my life, and one was on Maui. And it was we were at some convention, and it was a deal on the hotel rooms, right? And so I stayed there. Just too fancy for me. When you don't want to sit down on the chair because it's so clean and so pristine. I come from the beach. You got a bunch of sand. I'm carrying whatever nonsense from the beach. I just want a regular hotel. You know what I mean? But hey, if I'm going to stay in downtown Portland and I can get a deal, maybe that's what you do. All right. So you got that issue happening, right? You got a building going back to its lender because the lender doesn't know what else to do. They don't have any other options. They are so dug in on this property, but nobody's talking about that, right? Because then you'd have to be admitting downtown Portland is an absolute shenanigan show. It's a shenanigan show. So much so that Oregon governor and the Portland mayor, we've got Kotex and the Portland mayor are personally going to court housing investors amid construction slump. So you got a construction slump in Portland that they haven't built this few multifamily housing units since 2011. And what's happening? And what's happening in a lot of these big blue liberal cities that have high vacancy factors is the investors and the developers, they're not building because taxation, regulation, and let's admit it, construction of multifamily housing and single-family housing in these big blue liberal cities, counties, states has been disincentivized. And particularly in a city like Portland, you don't have public safety. You don't have that on your streets. Instead, you got a bunch of whacked out nut jobs running around, literally with knives. And then the police are saying, we don't want to make this situation worse. Let's just let them run around for a few days. Monday goes by, Tuesday goes by, and by Wednesday, they finally arrest the absolute whacked out nut job on drugs with a knife on his person, just cruising around downtown. What investor wants to dump $100 million into that? $200 million, $300 million, whatever it is, and have a commitment to that city for a long, long time when they can't do something as basic as keep the homeless off the streets, get the homeless into shelters, get the homeless into treatment, get the homeless into, right? And instead, they're just running around willy-nilly without a care in the world throughout Portland, and Portland picks up the tab wherever they need it. Because that is what compassion is all about to a big blue liberal city like Portland. And it's so flawed. It's so ideologically just, literally, I go through the gyrations of shooting myself in the foot because that's what this policy results in, is just pulling out the revolver and shooting yourself in the foot. All right, I want to make sure I get myself with a good one because you don't want to shoot yourself in the toe. It's right through the center of the foot. So this is what Portland's leadership has come up with. Rents are going to go to the moon unless we get some more supply of housing in here. We got to build it. We got to build some. So, yeah, we get down to the system development charge waiver emerged from the multifamily housing development work group. Don't you feel confident already? You're like, what is he talking about? I don't know either when I read this the first time. So did the idea to meet with investors. So they brainstormed with the multifamily housing development work group, who partially responsible for turning this bad boy around because they have created just over 1,600. I'm reading right here, just over 1,600 units at the end of 2024, the least since 2011. And Portland's rents have gone. They've gone up and away. And as they have in so many big blue liberal cities that haven't kept up with their supply of housing. So in your big areas where you can build, they're not building. And where they already have built something as fantastic as a Ritz Carlton, I mean, super fancy. Ritz's standard is so high relative to other hotels. It's nice. It's nice stuff. I can't really tell the difference because I just don't care about nice. You know, when I go to a hotel, I'd rather have like an indoor pool or a hot tub and give me a marginal room. Make it so I can sleep. That's all I care about. Because all hotels are about the same, right? You got a restroom in there, you got a little closet, and you got a TV. The air conditioning is way too cold. You got a window that overlooks a parking lot, and you can see whatever's going on out there. You got an elevator going up from the first to the second to the third floor. And in the Ritz, it's probably more than that. But beyond that, you make it super fancy. I just don't care. I don't care. I'm not going to sit down in the lobby and go, good Lord, I have made it. I am sitting in a hotel room that I paid way too much money for. Could care less, right? Just, don't care. I'd rather be out on the streets looking to see what's going on. What are we doing here, Portland? Oh, good Lord, what's that? What is that guy? Oh, he's taking a crap. Oh, he's taking a crap. He didn't wipe. He didn't wipe. But hey, let's dump $500 million into a project and we'll just see what happens. Just see what happens. Hey, let's dump a couple $100 million into a multifamily housing project. Guy over there taking a crap, he can come help us. You know, these are massive over-exaggerations. And yet they're not, because the hardcore reality is Portland's downtown, Portland's multifamily, Portland's housing are all to the point where the mayor and the governor are like, we gotta do something. Let's go out and talk to the developers. Let's see what we can incentivize them with. You got nothing. You got nothing. Unless you give them massive tax breaks, you got nothing. And you've already got massive budget deficits. You're not going to be able to give that away because then you're going to be accused by the wingnut left-hand nut jobs of Portland that you are kowtowing to the rich. And good Lord, we don't want that, do we? No, the situation in Portland just keeps getting a little bit worse. Will it turn around at some point? Are we there yet? No, because we need these events to happen. We need all these properties to go back to their owners, and then eventually those folks sell, and then all that equity gets reworked, and then all of the property valuations happen. We haven't even talked about what happens to all the other buildings, the impact on their valuations, their assessed values, and their declining tax revenue from those assessed values when those get downgraded. I haven't even talked about that. Oh, we talked about it, but it hasn't been reality because the cycle hasn't come through on commercial valuation. Pretty normal. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I hope this all kind of made sense. The bottom line is you got some stuff going on in Portland. And it ain't necessarily good. It's just part of that process to go from we put it together to good Lord ownership. I'm going to have somebody else take it over because there aren't the finances to make this go. All right. Thanks again for being here. I'd love to have you subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.